E, portanto, muito boa noite a todos aqui os que nos acompanham aqui na TT Zone. Hoje estamos aqui com um convidado especial, é o Dave Klaasen, ele que é um dos pilotos principais de uma equipa bastante conhecida, tanto aqui em Portugal como na Holanda, que é de onde o Dave é original. Estamos a falar da equipa da DaklaPack, equipa que também esteve no Dakar em 2025 e, portanto, o Dave aceitou aqui o nosso convite com muito orgulho, como ele nos explicou. E, portanto, vamos então falar aqui um bocadinho com o Dave para ele nos explicar como é que também surgiu aqui esta equipa bastante conhecida aqui no campeonato. So, hello Dave, thank you very much for accepting this invitation from TTZone to talk a little about what the year 2024 was like in the Portuguese Championship of all-terrain. And also the other races you did talk about the Dakar 2025 and also about the first race of the Portuguese Championship in Beja in this year 2025. So Dave, to start with, I'd like you to explain how you got started here in the off-road, your first race, team and a car.
Yes, well, let me explain firstly who I am. So my name is Dave, and I'm a Dutch guy. I started racing in 2015, off-road racing. At that time, we still had some small Dutch races. In the last couple of years, because of the environmental questions, let's say, in the Netherlands, it's a relatively small country with not a lot of surface. They said, well, it's not allowed anymore to organize some races. We still have 2 races, but in real life, I think the last race was 2 years ago. So we have no opportunities over there. Then we start racing in Portugal, 1 race a year. Of course, in Morocco, in the north of Africa, you still can race. In South Africa, there's a nice competition. So we start to do racing there since 2021, let's say. And in Portugal, you have a very nice competition. It's in Europe. It's relatively close by, so 2.5-hour flight. And we said, well, let's move our race team to Portugal. There was another Dutch guy, Johan Sanders. It's a Dutch guy. He introduced us in Portugal. He helped us in the beginning. And so let's say in the end of 2023, we moved our team to Portugal. And that means we moved our equipment, our race cars, our service trucks to Portugal, to Leiria. And we hired a couple of people. Now we have 6 employees, mostly technicians, and they run the team. And what has changed is that we're not doing that only for ourselves, but also provide ready service for other teams. That can be a Portuguese team, of course, but that can also be a Dutch team or no matter where they come from. So we offer rally service, especially for our main brand, Redline, and the second brand, Taurus, so the T3 class. And we do rental cars as well. So last year we started with this, offering this kind of service, and we had our first customer in July. And we did almost all races ourselves. With myself and with my son, my oldest son. He races as well, a couple of races. And it's really nice. Portugal is a nice country, a lot of enthusiastic fans. Good. And a lot of people supporting the sport. And a stunning landscape. So you have beautiful landscapes, beautiful races, quite a lot of variety in landscape. So sometimes it's mountains, sometimes it's quite open. Last weekend we had a race. It was so nice. It was really nice. So that's basically the introduction why we are in Portugal.
Exactly. So Dave, I'm talking in Portuguese to the fans to Portanto, malta, percebemos aqui pelo que o Dave nos disse que explicou aqui a sua primeira corrida, o seu primeiro carro. Eles que a equipa da Dakla tem sede em Leiria e, portanto, agora vamos introduzir aqui com o Dave como é que começou a Dakla. Dave, we now talk about your beginnings in this modality, the all-terrain and or off-road. Therefore you belong to your team. Well, now here in Portugal, the DaklaPackTeam. I would like to ask you how the creation of Dakla came about.
You mean how we started a team?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. The creation of Dakla. Why?
Yeah. Why? Well, I have a big packaging company, worldwide company, which is named DaklaPack, right? So it's packaging. And so our main sponsor, that's my company, let's say, DaklaPack. And so we still have the name DaklaPack, but we will change this name into DKR because we are now a fully professional team. And the professional team will be named DKR. And we run this team now since 2015. We began really small, but it becomes bigger and bigger. So I explained about our Portuguese organization. In the meantime, we start in South Africa as well. So we can offer rally service and rental cars in Portugal and in South Africa. And maybe they will follow a country in the Middle East like the Arabic Emirates or whatever. But that's still future. In the meantime, we are developing our own race cars, so our T1 Plus, which is in close cooperation with our brand Redline. But it will be our own body, and that will be introduced, I think, in let's say May, maybe June, halfway this year. And I can tell you, it will be a very, very, very nice car. So. But our history is packaging. That's why where I earn the money, and then I got involved in racing.
Portanto, malta, era o que o Dave nos estava aqui a explicar. Portanto, o início aqui também da Dakla, a criação da Dakla. E portanto agora vamos então falar aqui sobre como foi o início também no campeonato de 2024 aqui em Portugal do CPTT. Portanto, Dave, let's talk about the 2024 season here in Portugal, more specifically in the Portuguese Championship at the helm of red-lined T1 in the category T1 with your co-driver, the Klaasen, at our site. So do you want to summarize each race you competed here in Portugal in the season 2024? So denominate Bajas in Portugal.
Well, we did almost all Bajas, right? And I can say that the most Bajas or the best Bajas are basically the smaller ones, let's say. So not the European FIA Bajas. I really like Regangos. I really like TTZonePT like we had last time. I like Porto Alegre as well because it's a hard race. It's not the nicest race. It's a wet race. But because it's hard to finish, I really like that one. But let me summarize our races. So we decided to race in our T1 cars because our T1 Plus was still in South Africa. We did there some races as well. And we started a little bit messy because of the transition into the Portuguese organization. And I think my first race was, in April, beginning of April. I think it was in Beja as well. And then I hit. I think I was. You had a hard right and then into a hard left. And the hard right, I came out a little bit too wide, and then the hard left. It was I was much too to the left side of the road, so I couldn't open the corner, and there was a wooden fence, but behind that wooden fence there was a concrete pole, and I couldn't see that one. So I was cutting the corner, and I hit that pole, and I rolled on my roof. So that was my first race. So that was not a proper one. But what you see is all the races are very tight, right? So you have tight roads, sometimes slippery with mud or water sections, and we had to get used to that kind of style of racing. Crossing the wet, so your car needs to be prepared for the wet as well, with a snorkel, so a high air intake. Get used to the speeds between the trees as well, you know, and tight, and it's really like rally style, if you compare it to wide open spaces in desert and so on. So it was a great learning, and then we went to, I think it was the BP Ultimate. And then we had such a strange issue with the car after 3 days, I guess. We had an issue with the alternator. We changed it 2-3 times, and it was running again. But we found out later that the little wire who gives the signal basically to the alternator, you have to stop loading, was sometimes broken. We had a failure in that wire, so we were out in that race, unfortunately. I think then we went to Aragon in Spain. We had a proper race. I think we were second in class, so in T1, which was quite good. And then we went to Regengos, and I can't remember our result. I asked my wife, Tessa, Regengos, we did a proper job as well, I think. I think we were third or fourth, something in that stuff. And then we did Portalegre, and Portalegre was really wet, like always. And we had at the last day at the liaison a pulley broke of the engine, and we couldn't repair it in time, so we were out. So we had we had a quite difficult season, to be honest, with lots of small failures, which has nothing to do with, it has to do with the sport, but you can't provide that, you know. And then we did the last event as well. That was the event in close by Torres Vedras in November, I guess. It was really nice race, and we did a great job there as well. Not in top 3, but I think 4th, 5th, something like that in class. And to combine it with the preparation of Dakar, with all the races, team races last year, so it was a little bit too much, basically. So now we focus more to the W2 RC races. We will do 4 out of 5 international 5 days rallies, and then we do this year here and there some races. So we did the TT Montes in Beja, and next race we will be there with customers, 2 customers at least, and I think my son will drive, so 3 cars. But we won't go to this race because our car is rented for the Morocco Desert Challenge, and it's pretty close to this event, so we don't have sufficient time to prepare it. And then probably we will do the race in, I think it's end of May. I think this race we will do again. But we look from race to race, let's say. Yes.
So Dave, let's talk now about to the Dakar 2025 with a new car for the Dakla, the Red Revo T1 Plus. So how did this Dakar go? Starting with the preparation, and ending on the last day of competition?
Well, we we had an interesting Dakar, let's say. So the first couple of days went really well. We had our own rhythm, our own. We just decided in Dakar it's a long race, so you can't go for 100% because you have a lot of risk. So we 85 and 92% of our normal speed, and we managed that in a good way. And then I think it was day 4. It was in the first, after 40 kilometers, out of nothing, we lost the wishbone. So our right front wheel came off, basically. And we couldn't understand what was happening because we didn't hit anything particularly hard or other than in other races. And the bad luck was that we have support of 2 T5 trucks. And one T5 truck, both trucks have all spare parts. And one T5 truck has also equipment like welding machines and so on. And because the wishbone came off, it was broken on the front, let's say, ball joint, and it took off the ears of the second ball joint of this wishbone. And so we needed to weld. And then the T5 truck was there pretty soon. But this truck, he had an alternator or a generator and a welding machine. And the generator refused to give electrical power to the welding machine. Mm-hmm. And so it was broken. So we were in the middle of nowhere. We couldn't continue our journey. And we managed to drive slowly, really slowly to tarmac road to get some help from our crew. But we ran out of time, basically. They had a liaison to drive themselves, which was 700 kilometers. And at that time, we had the issue, they were already 500 kilometers away. So it was too late when they arrived at our car. So unfortunately, we were out of the official let's say, classment. Mm-hmm. And but we could start the next day. And then we had a couple of good days till the second last day. Then right after the start, when it was 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and I was going for it, and something snapped, and I thought it was a rear drive or a drive shaft in the rear, or the differential or the transfer case of the gearbox. And hopefully it was a drive shaft, but it wasn't, luckily. So I broke a shaft in the rear diff, and that was a pity because we had to drive a hard stage in the empty quarter, which is not possible with two-wheel drive. So we were forced to quit that stage, but we could end the last day. So we did finish the Dakar successfully, but without having the medal, let's say, which is a pity because that's our ultimate goal. It was our second Dakar. The first time we managed to do it a great job. Actually, I proposed my fiancée Tessa as well on the podium. So for us, the first one was a special Dakar. And the second Dakar, we tried to have a better speed with the big wheel car, the T1 Plus. We were 2 times unlucky, and that's you can't do nothing about that. It's a hard race, really hard on the cars with all those rocks. And I think the Redline Revo is still a relatively new car, which still is in development. So we have had our learnings now, and we have to reinforce the wishbones, let's say, and as well the differential. Because of the big wheels, it gets more forces to take. So, but it was a nice Dakar. We had a big adventure. We had nice stages. The marathon stages were really nice. We had a good speed. And when we had good stages, we were able to be within top 30. So the speed is there. That's definitely the case. But the car needs to have some little improvements for us, let's say.
I'm talking in Portuguese now, okay?
Are you still there? Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Portanto, o que o Dave nos quis explicar aqui, portanto, explicou-nos aqui como é que foi o Dakar 2025, eles que conduziram um novo Red Revo T1+, e portanto nós agora vamos então pedir aqui ao Dave para nos explicar como foi já esta primeira prova do campeonato. So, Dave, let's talk now about the first race of 2025 Portuguese Championship, the Baja TT Montes Alentejanos in Beja, where the DaklaPack took two cars in competition, your Red Revo T1 Plus and the Red Line T1 driven by the Jasper. And therefore, I would you like to explain how the race went, starting in the prologue and ending in the Sunday stage?
So you want to know basically how our last race was, what? Right?
Yeah.
So it's not our best season. We had a really we had to get used to the narrow roads, slippery roads with the big car, and our suspension was still on the Dakar setting. That means that the car was still high. And we didn't have a lot of time to for the preparation, because at Wednesday the cars came back from Dakar from Barcelona. So we got the cars on Wednesday from Dakar, and Wednesday night we were in Beja during normal preparation, and we didn't have the time to put the car in the best setting. So the prologue was difficult. Car still high, unstable on the tiny roads. But we had a reasonable. I think we were 20th, something like that overall. So our starting position was quite good, to be honest.
Yeah.
And are you still there? Yes. So our starting position, we were happy with the starting position. And then stage one, we lowered the car. We adjusted it more to the Baja setting, and we had actually quite a good stage. We lost some time because we heard a strange noise in the back. We thought it might be a puncture, so we stopped for 2 minutes. So we lost some time there, and we had a lot of dust in the fan of the cooling from the interior, so from inside, and it was a strange hissing noise. So we didn't stop it. We were defining what's this noise, and then we found out it was this fan, and we could go. So probably we lost there 3 minutes, but still we had a good stage, let's say, for ourselves and our customer as well. So our customer in the T1 car was doing a great job in the prologue and as well in stage one. And then stage two at Sunday, right before the start, we had the high coolant temperature of the water, which is strange. So I thought it was a thermostat or something like that. And I switched on and off our device, our race car. And then I think the rear fan dropped in and temperature dropped, so it was cool. And then 3 kilometers after, we got a warning from the motor saying the rear fan PDM fault, which was strange because we had it before in Dakar, but we changed the rear fan. So the rear fan was only 4 days old. And then within 1 minute, we got the message, the warning, low voltage. And in the meantime, we smelled a very strange thing. And we decided to stop, to pull over. And then the car was basically on fire, smoke everywhere. And I found the battery which was in fire. And luckily we had extinguishers. and we want to slow down the burning process. And in the meantime, a spectator was running towards us with a fire extinguisher as well. And he saw us driving, and he saw the smoke. The car was on fire while we were racing. And he decided to fire department, the fire guys. So because it was right after the start, the guys from the fire department, they were in a couple of minutes. They were at our car, so they could save the car. So if that wasn't the case, we lost the car. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So we were lucky in an unlucky situation, and now we have to find out what was the reason that this battery caught fire. Was it shortage? Was it the water? I don't know. We have to read the data from the car and let's see what's coming out. But we have special lithium batteries, which are really strong. But if they catch fire, then or have a shortcut, then shortage, then they can be dangerous. So we were out, but luckily we still have the car. No damage on the car. That's the good news.
Yeah.
And our customer, he did a great job. He became sixth in class, I guess. And so it was his first time in his VK50. He recently bought this VK50 from us. And so it was actually his second race in the VK50 because he rented the first time in September, I guess, in the Regangos, he rented a car from us. But it was the first time in his own car, and he did a great job. So those cars are really reliable and strong and capable of doing anything, I can say. So that's the good news.
Yeah. So Dave, to finish, would you like to thank someone for the year 2024 and also for participating in the Dakar, to your sponsors, friends, family?
Well, of course, the sponsors. Really grateful to have them and make it possible to race for us. I would like to thank as well the mechanics, because they did a great job last year, especially in the startup situation in Portugal. Also, I would like to thank all spectators, especially in Portugal. It's amazing how enthusiastic those people, you people are. It's really fun to drive. A little warning: some spectators are standing on dangerous points, I can say. So take care of yourself, guys, because it always looks like every race driver controls the car in a good way. But if you are outside of a corner, it can be dangerous. So that's my only concern in Portugal. But the spectators, that it's amazing. It's really nice. It's so enthusiastic all days, no matter if it's raining or sun. They're always there, you know. And I would like to thank my family as well, especially my kids, because they miss me a lot because of racing. You know, it's not possible that always they are there. Especially our little one. She's 6 years old. She's 5 years old now, and it's for her it's a hard life sometimes, especially in Dakar. 3 weeks, that's a long time. Yeah. And that's the only reason why Dakar is not so nice, I can say.
Yeah. So, Dave, once again, thank you very much for accepting this invitation. It is always a pleasure to welcome you, as well any other member of Dakla, of DaklaPackTeam. You are always welcome here. And everything is going well for the 2025, my friend. Good luck to the next races, to you and your team, the DaklaPack. Big hug to you, my friend, to Tessa, and to DaklaPackTeam mechanics and the team of DaklaPack here in the Netherlands. Thank you very much, Dave, for this.
You too, Rui. A nice interview, and it's always nice to have guys like you paying attention to the sport and let people know how nice it all is. So thanks for the opportunity. Yes.